Do you ever have one of those moments when you just think, duh, why did I not think of that? I've just had one, well, a couple of days ago. I'm a little bit obsessed with stenciling in watercolour. So, love it for the patterns it creates, the positives, and I like negatives too when you lift it out. Really, really enjoying exploring the possibilities. And that otter that's over my shoulder there. But with watercolour, it's a bit trickier than, say, with acrylic, because our watercolour is really fluid and it just goes under the stencil and makes a big mess. So I saw a video that said something quite clickbaity, like, the one hack that will transform your watercolour stencils. And I was a bit like, yeah, because these sort of hacks that are going to change our life, they never do. But this one did. I have to say a huge thank you to Jackie Hernandez. I'll put a link to her channel, because actually this hack is brilliant and I want to share it with you. Also have a little apology for thinking clickbait, sorry. My name's Liz Chatterton. I'm a watercolour artist based in Berkshire. Every week I like to share a tip or technique that I wish I'd known about ages ago. And this week it's how to up your watercolour stencil game. Let's take a closer look at this otter just so you can see what I've done. I've painted the otter. I did a little bit of masking to give the impression of water droplets. And then afterwards, I've stenciled the background with these swirls to give an idea of the eddies of the water and to give that real contrast of a very busy pattern against the calm and peace of this animal. And then in my toucan, again, didn't want to paint an entire rainforest, so I've used something that is leaf-like to give the impression of its environment. And I've also used it to lift out patterns as well, because it's leaf-like and feather-like, so I've got positive and negative going on. Let's look at what the issue is. I've just got some paints that need using up, and if I've got my stencil here, piece of watercolour paper, and I'm using an ordinary watercolour brush, getting it too wet because we don't want it to seep under, do we? So I might just paint through my stencil. And if I want to change colours, I might blend wet in wet like that. And you think, yeah, that's all great. Just carefully take it off. It's seeped under in places. It's not brilliant. I mean, it's not awful. I'm not into perfection, so that's fine. But you can see how it's seeped under those edges. So you might think, oh, I can get round that and use a brush that doesn't hold as much fluid. Our watercolour brushes are designed to hold fluid and release it in a controlled way, but it's designed to hold loads and loads of fluid. Maybe if I use something that's a bit more bristly, won't hold as much, and then I can stipple as well. So going up and down, I'm less likely to push that paint under the stencil, and I think that should be better. And again, if I want to change colour, I can just change as I go along. Let's have a look. You can see it has seeped under. Even so, turn it over, you can see just sort of there and there where it's seeped under. And you could use a little sponge, a little man-made sponge. It's literally a kitchen sponge. That can be another way of doing it, controlling the amount of water. So what is the hack? It's this, using one of these brushes. These are designed for makeup blending brushes, for putting on your foundation or whatever. And can you see it's got hundreds, if not thousands of tiny filaments. Now, the reason I was so annoyed with myself is I've used these for blending inks, taking ink off ink pads when you wanted to blend, and they're brilliant. It had just never occurred to me to use them with watercolour. They're not expensive. You can get them online, and I think I bought 12 or so nice little covers for about £10. It might have been £10, £12. I'll put a link to those. See how they work. Dip in our colour, and then you must be careful, of course, not to put too much on, because these brushes can hold a lot of colour. Don't want to put too much on. I'm going to just change colour a bit and do some blending. And let's do the big reveal. Look at the difference. Really crisp edges. This stencil has got deliberate cutouts in it, so that is deliberate. That is a mistake. And look how well it stencils. It's just beautiful. Let's turn that over and do something. Dipping that in there. I am going to take any excess off, because I reckon if there's too much in there, it's still going to seep under. But look how far one dip goes. And of course, if you want to build up the colour, you can do more. Grab a different brush, making sure that's not too much, and then start to blend. So that was with a bit of burnt sienna. And let's grab a different brush again. I mean, the good thing about buying a big pack of these is that you can use a different brush for different colours. And then do our big reveal. And look how smooth and crisp and blended that is. So the hack is to use these wonderful makeup brushes. They are just brilliant. I hope you agree that this is so much more blended, crisp and nuanced than that. Just so good. And to take care of them, you can get these little makeup brush pads, cleaning pads. So it's silicone, they come flat. Put them out. Just need a bit of water. In fact, you could use this as your water pot. Bit of soap. I haven't got any soap here, but if I had soap, and then you clean them on the bottom, and you will be able to clean out your brushes like that. Make sure that they dry really well before you store them, and you're good to go for next time.